Welcome everybody to a brand new podcast of the Coastal Fitness Podcast. And we have Ed Haynes by my side. Welcome, Ed. Good to see you again. It's been a while. So Ed, you've done the Asia Championships in Bali this past weekend. How was that?
Yeah, it was awesome, great experience. Just really good to be back out on the competition floor. I've had two competitions now at the tail end of 2018. My only competition is 2018. But yeah, it was a great way to cap off a good year.
Nice, that's great. So this is actually going to lead us into our today's topic, which is we're going to delve into the competition spirit, and maybe you could speak about having a why before delving into your competition or when competing could make the difference on the competition floor.
I think it's a great conversation. I think having a why, having a reason behind what you do is something we talk about a lot. Whether it's your training, whether it's your job, whether it's your hobbies, whatever it is that interests you, there should always be a justifiable reason that you can successfully articulate to another person that you should really believe in. So it's funny because when I think about competition, my why has changed and it's evolved over the years. You know, I think I could go back to my rugby days and talk about my why then, and that was because I had a dream of pursuing being a professional rugby player. I loved the sport. I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed what came with being a national representative athlete, in the sense that, you know, you had recognition, you had opportunities and that kind of stuff. That was definitely a part of it. And then I guess when I transitioned into CrossFit, initially my why was really just to see how good I could be in the sport. And those initial days was, you know, every day training multiple times a day, continue learning, continue pushing myself, was because, you know, I had aspirations that I could make it to, you know, the higher levels of competitive sport within the sport, which probably at the time was, you know, becoming an individual regional athlete. So I pursued that dream for a good, you know, year or two. It led to me hiring an individual coach, receiving individualized programming, making sacrificing commitments within my day and my week to have time to be available to train.
Yeah, because that is something that I really noticed that struck me when I came into this gym and I met you, is that you have your calendar, you have a busy schedule, right? You have a lot of responsibilities, you have your own business, you have your clients, etc. I train, but you make sure that you schedule a block of time where you train and nobody can mess with that.
Yeah.
Right? So that was like, wow, that is impressive.
And I think that really comes down to, you know, what we're talking about here, which is, you know, having your priorities and having your why, and you know, really believing and understanding what that why is and why you do it. And so for me, I mean, training way more than competition is really important to me. You know, it brings me identity in terms of what I do. I'm a big believer that you should practice what you preach, but also from the health standpoint and from the personal challenge standpoint, you know, training is something that is non-negotiable for me. I feel better when I do it, and therefore I want to make sure that that's a frequent part of my daily routine. And because it's really very high up there on my priorities list, like, I'm not going to let anything get in the way of that.
That was impressive.
But perhaps that's a whole other tangent that we could probably go down and talk about.
But that just proves
for sure. And I think that
everything's in line.
It's interesting because it's actually, it ties into my why behind competing, because we know that training versus competition are two very different things. And I've already said out loud that the reason I'm so committed to doing what I do is that I love the process of training. One of the biggest reasons I stopped playing rugby was because I started to realize that I was enjoying the training aspect of being a rugby player more than I was enjoying the competing aspect of being a rugby player. And, you know, when light bulbs started to go off, naturally when I got into CrossFit is kind of like the sport of training.
Yeah.
So you get to train to be good at your sport, which kind of like, it just aligned and resonated with me perfectly. So really now is I've come to realization that, you know, I have my fingers in a lot of pies, right? I like to be busy, but I also have a lot of different responsibilities and a lot of different priorities within my life. You know, that goes from, you know, being a boyfriend to running a business to being a coach and having my client responsibilities, you know, having a family, you know, but also, you know, wanting to pursue training. And what I've come to realize is that we talked about the idea of like adaptation currency before in a previous podcast, whereby we only have so much energy, so much time to give to the things that we do in our day. And if you really want to commit to bettering yourself at something, especially something that's physically challenging or mentally challenging, you have to put those adaptation credits towards that one thing. What we can't do is give 100% effort to everything, because eventually we'll either get injured, we'll get sick, or we'll get burnt out.
Yeah.
So it's about prioritizing what's most important to you and giving love and giving your energy and giving your time to that one thing. Now, what I realized over the years is that given that I have so many different priorities in my life, when I train in this environment, in the comfort of my own gym, training is important, but it's a very small part of my day. It's an hour to an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours of my day, which is also, running the business, working with my colleague, working with my clients, doing all the other things that require a lot of energy and a lot of my time to do. And therefore, what I know is that when I train, I don't have 100%. I can't give 100% to my training.
Yeah.
So when it comes to, let's say, hitting a 1 rep max, I don't probably have 100% effort, nor am I willing to give 100% effort to that 1 rep max in my training environment, because what's that going to do to me, and what's that going to do to everything else in my day? It's probably going to dampen me, it's going to deplete me a little bit. I'm probably going to be pretty tired after that. And there's all these other things that are really important to me that it's about pulling back and reserving, and that's a choice that I make. So it's not an excuse, or it's not a complaint to say that I'm a busy guy, therefore I can't commit 100% to my training. No, that's my choice that I've made. So for me, where competition plays into this is that competition is a chance for me to be in an environment in a specific moment in time where I can concentrate 100% on being an athlete. So there aren't any distractions about running a business or doing all the other things that I do. But when I'm out there in that environment, like competition floor, and the hours leading up to it and the hours leading after it, I'm 100% focused on giving my absolute best in my performance. And that's always where, some people say they tend to perform better on the competition floor than they do in training, and that's always been me.
Yeah.
And that's simply because my training environment is nothing like my competitive environment. And my competitive environment for me really allows me to truly see what I'm capable of. And so for me, competition is a means of validating, my training throughout the rest of the year. I don't really know how good I am, or how strong I am, or how aerobically developed I am until I actually put myself in that environment, and I really give 100% towards competing.
Yeah.
And so for the Asian Championships, for me, I learned a lot. I surprised myself with things that I thought perhaps wasn't a strength of mine.
Yeah.
And I realized that in that scenario, I could push way, way harder than I thought. And actually, realize that, you have put a lot of work into this, and you're probably better than you think you are. And for me, if I don't have that competition in my life, or that removal from my normal environment, I'll probably never really know what I'm truly capable of. And so for me, that is my justification. That's why I do it.
That's your why.
Now, I know if I asked the other 30 guys on the competition floor what their whys were, they'd probably have 30 different answers. We have some people who are striving to be professional athletes, and therefore their livelihood evolves around the competition. So for someone whose livelihood evolves around a potential first place in winning prize money versus a 5th place in winning no prize money, they probably have a deeper, stronger reason to make it hurt that little bit more whilst in training in the competition floor. So when it comes to my why versus that person's why, they probably have a stronger why that they're going to probably give a little bit more on the training floor, on the competition floor. Now again, that's not an excuse, because that's a decision I've made, that's a decision they've made. So I think the concept of having a why is so important. And I definitely got stuck in a rut in my previous years within this sport of not having a solid why. Perhaps I was doing it because I thought as a coach, in fact I can definitely say this, as a coach, I thought that my clients were judging me based on my performance on a competition floor. And therefore, that wasn't a very good reason. It wasn't from deep within me. It was extrinsic, exactly. Yeah. It was tied to the opinions of others. When really, I later learned that really isn't the case. Yeah. So it evolves and it changes, but having that reason is, I think, a really
absolutely true. So you are going to that extent So you're saying that potentially we have, let's say, two athletes that are equally gifted, equally talented, let's say relatively same level of fitness. If that other person has a stronger why, they could potentially push harder.
Yeah, I think potentially they have a deeper meaning for suffering, right? So their reason for suffering is it carries more weight than someone like myself. And it's funny because really when you look at most people, especially within this sport, because most of us are non-professional, let's call it CrossFitters or fitnesses, you know, for most people they're probably going to reside with a reasoning similar to mine. You know, there's very few people who are fortunate or have the ability to say that, you know, this is our livelihood and this is how I generate income and I want to pursue this sport 100%. Again, that's a very small minority of the population. So for most people, like, you know, your general person who's training 5-6 days a week in the gym on a group class program or maybe even with an individual coach, you know, I think there's still a lot of reason for why most of us should be investing or putting ourselves out there. You know, I think we can draw parallels into our normal lives of, you know, doing things that make us uncomfortable. So your corporates or your people who work in businesses, you know, standing up and giving a presentation in front of 300 people is not a mandatory part of your job, but it's something that's going to allow you to grow and put your ideas out there and probably going to lead to some form of growth or career ladder, you know, within your job. And you know, I think you speak to those people, they say like how important it is to put yourself in that situation. This is our equivalent in the training scenario, right? We're putting ourselves out there to be on a platform, to be viewed and spectated and critiqued, and, you know, for have people to impart their opinions on us. And it's quite a daunting thing for sure, but at the same time there are so many positives because we learn so much about ourselves. We learn about our character, we learn about, you know, the actual skill of competing, we learn about, for someone like me who doesn't push as hard in their own training environment, we learn about our actual physical and mental capabilities in that environment. So, you know, I really think if you're someone who's investing the time and the energy and the financials to do this kind of stuff, I do think for a lot of people there is the validity for competition. It doesn't mean that everyone should be pursuing for Asian Championships or the regionals or the new CrossFit sectionals events. I think we have to understand and put a dose of realism that is for, you know, the higher achievers within the sport. But I mean, things like local competitions, like your gym's in-house throwdown, you know, those kind of situations, or, you know, even a Spartan race, those kind of things are readily available and everywhere. And I just think people learn so much about themselves, you know, and that could be the catalyst for, you know, another successful year of commitment to your training. You know, you learn something in that moment that you realize that, okay, now it brings clarity to what I really want to do, what I really want to work on, and that's, you know, that's your validation for what your next training block looks like.
Because we have that opposite scenario where people don't have a why. Like me, I was training and I didn't really have a strong why for my training besides aesthetics and just having fun with the boys, right? And that has challenged my training throughout the year. Like, I've been like, why am I suffering this much and stuff like that, and that has made me realize that my foundation, my why, was not strong enough for me to, you know.
And I think it's all, you said the word there, you know, it's always in times when you're suffering the most, which is when you question your motives.
Yes, true.
And it's those times when you question your motives, and if you can't provide an answer, likely it is you're going to drop off or you're going to look for your next thing.
So true.
And you know, that's what we see that all the time with clients, right? In this environment as coaches, when someone's reasoning isn't good enough for why they come in here the first time, or it's weak, or it's not intrinsic, or it doesn't come from them, you know, the moment things get hard is the time that, you know, they'll probably drop off and start looking for something else.
I don't know, you haven't prepared for this, but do you have maybe a couple of questions that people could ask themselves to have a better sense of what their why could be?
It's so hard, you know.
It's hard, right?
I've delivered a talk on numerous talks actually on finding a why, and, you know, read a lot of books on you know, in my own quest to try and find a why behind, you know, my different hats that I wear. You know, the why behind being a business owner, the why behind being a coach, the why behind being an athlete. You know, and it's very hard, and it's not something that comes easily. And I also think that the harder you try and look for it, sometimes the further away the answer becomes. But I think, you know, one thing I can say for sure is that if you don't put yourselves into those uncomfortable situations and learn to get comfortable with the uncomfortable, it's very hard.
Yes.
It's very hard when things are easy and you're being successful to really learn from what you're doing. And, you know, which is why they say, like, you know, failure is the best means of growth.
Yeah.
So, and I just think being mindful with what you do.
Yeah, true.
And, you know, always reflecting and putting thought into everything you do, whether it's journaling or just, you know, just a thought process.
Yeah.
And being aware of everything that you do.
Yeah.
So it's probably
instead of just going through the motions.
Yeah, instead of just going through the motions and then, you know, like, you know, just ticking boxes and go through it.
So I love this message. Put yourself out there so you can learn about yourself, right? Because we grow through challenge, right? And most people are a bit scared to go into that challenging situation, but that is exactly where that growth potentially lies. So I love that message. Something to conclude with that I loved seeing is that really proves that you enjoy your process leading up to competition, and maybe helps justify that you have a strong why, is your preparation phase for competition. Like I've seen you in there practicing how you're gonna grab the barbell, timing, your rest in between sets, how you're breathing, how you're feeling, etc. It's amazing to see that, to witness that. And we're actually also gonna have an athlete camp. Could you maybe tie that into what's gonna happen there?
I think you know, part of it as well for me is that, you know, if I'm going to make a commitment to want to do a competition, and if my why is that I want the competition to prove, you know, what my true potential is, I want to set up things to give myself the best opportunity to succeed.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So if I've made a commitment, and it might be a 6-month commitment, a 12-month commitment, where I know I'm going to do something, like I want to make sure that if this is my one chance here, that's what I'm saying to myself, that this is my one chance to really see what I'm capable of.
Wow.
I want to basically line up everything going into that competition to set me up for success. So if that means if a workout gets released, like I want to practice that workout and you know, go down to the absolute minute details of how I can execute and shave a second off here and a second off there. But I think also, you know, my role is I work with a lot of people who want to be competitive, and when I'm always in a position to provide information and expertise, it's also really important that I'm walking the walk as well. And that doesn't necessarily mean, you know, winning the competition, but it means executing. And I want to also test myself to see if I can execute the principles and the strategies that I'm giving to other people. Can I actually do that myself? Because I'll definitely learn something through that process that will allow me to refine the strategies that I give to my athletes. So, you know, I think that's a little bit of it as well. You know, practicing what I preach and putting the method into actual physical practice.
It makes you better as a coach as well.
Yeah, I think I'm doing it for both those reasons, to be the best athlete, the best individual I can be on that day, but also to upgrade my coaching practices and protocols. Awesome. And I think, you know, in the athlete camp, we're going to go through a ton of that stuff. You know, preparation for events, things like visualization, creating workout strategies, reflecting on workout strategies. Because I mean, we're in a very cool sport here where often you do get a workout stimulus provided to you beforehand, and you have a chance to practice.
Absolutely.
We definitely know when the Open comes around, for those who are still going to be taking that and doing that competitively, that you're going to have more than one chance to do each workout. And if you don't know how to dissect a workout strategy and create a workout strategy, like you're already at a loss to someone perhaps like me who, you know, is neurotic about that kind of stuff. So, you know, you want every advantage you can possibly get out of the sport.
Great. I'll leave some more information about the athlete camp in the video linked down below. And I think, do you want to say anything before we conclude this video?
No? Yeah, that's great.
I think it's a great message. Finding growth in challenging situations, and try to go into those situations to see what you're capable of and to get to know yourself a little bit better.
Yeah,
I like that message.
Yeah, I think nothing in life that's worth getting comes easy.
Wow.
Right? So absolutely. You gotta take those risks, take those challenges.
Very true. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you, sir.
I'm looking forward to the next episode.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you guys. Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel, and looking forward to the next episode. Peace. Nice one.
Nice, Salami.
Yeah, that was a good one.